I finished most of everything that the first half of 2.0 for Zenless Zone Zero had to offer, and I've been seeing a lot of talk about whether 2.0 was bad or not. So I thought I would give some of my thoughts as someone who's played all of the main story, the side missions, events, and basically every content that the game has to offer, except Arpeggio Fault. I hate that event. I'm not finishing it. First, I wanted to talk a little bit about the events that were had in 2.0. I think all the events were actually pretty fun. My favorite was the movie event. Anything that lets us get to know our characters even more is a plus for me. We even got to interact with some of the NPCs more and hear their voices for the first time. And I felt like it was done in a very interesting way, except I would be pissed off in real life if someone in front of me was talking that much. If you know me, you know I'm a fan of the Persona Social League system. I do like when the choice is not too obvious though, which I did get tripped up a little bit, but for the most part, I S-ranked on all of them. But I did not expect it to be challenging and looked more at it as a fun hangout event. Which my favorite part in Zenless Zone Zero is the characters and being able to get to know our characters more and just hang out with them in a fun setting like a movie theater was pretty fun for me. What was actually challenging at times was the solo quick time event. I actually had fun with this and would retry it if I messed up on one to get it perfect. I really hope they bring this event back so we could still interact with older characters. I've seen so many comments of people wanting their favorite characters or missed out on their favorite characters not being there, so I would not be surprised if they brought this event back with more characters. Another event that we had was the Mecha event. I also really like this event. I like that we get a goofy little story with our Bellabog characters. I feel like we haven't seen them in a while, so it was really nice to see them and interact with them. Also, some of the Cunning Hairs too, which is my favorite faction, so always happy to see them. I think the gameplay was fun, and I really like the customization on how you could play. It was a nice little quick event, and you got a cute little story out of it too. Now, for the last event I want to talk about is the Swabian Temple Restoration event. This might be a little bit controversial, but I actually really like the management events. Maybe I'm just a boring person or just weird, but I kind of find it somewhat relaxing. There's just something that tickles my brain with these management events where I could just click a few buttons and watch my Denny's go to the moon. I also like that we get a lot of commissions for it and get some cool little side stories or exploration missions. We also got to go with a few missions with our new guy Kamano, so we got a little preview in one of our new agents. I totally get why this event is not for everyone though, so I get if you are frustrated with it because it was a pretty lengthy event, but then it is a gacha, so there are going to be events that are not for everyone. The annoying part is that the exploration missions are locked behind the event, so you kind of have to do the event to get those missions. So I do understand that frustration if you did not care for the management kind of gameplay and you just wanted to do those events. But for me personally, I liked it. But I think it's totally valid if you were somewhat frustrated with it. I'm also satisfied with all the new rewards that we got for the anniversary. I finally got Rina's W engine, and I already almost have 70 pulls after I used all my pulls and even more for Yijuan and her engine. I also really like that we're getting a lot of new costumes for Belle and Wise and also for some of the other agents. I just don't think there was really an anniversary event kind of. We did get the live stream, which had some cute interactions, but overall it wasn't anything too special. Now onto the characters and gameplay. I actually really enjoyed using Yijuan. I think she's a really fun character to play. I'm also really interested in other Rupture agents we get and how they will play also. Personality wise, I wouldn't say I care too much for the Youngquay Summit characters. I was excited for them at first because growing up I really liked watching Bruce Lee and like Ip Man movies. So a faction based on like Chinese martial arts movies was super exciting for me. What did get me excited though is the new Jufufu EP, which did have a lot of Chinese martial arts movie references. So I think personality wise, I'll probably like Jufufu more when her story comes out. And it looks like they're going to be more involved in the 2.0 story, unlike season 1 where the story really only focused on each faction for a chapter. So even though I don't think much is out right now, I do think that they are going to be more involved later on. So I'm basically just going to wait and see and give my final opinion of them, basically after all the content for them has been released. In terms of gameplay for Miasma, I really actually like it. I think it creates an interesting challenge. It's so annoying when I'm about to kill an enemy or about to stun an enemy and they pull out that goddamn shield. But I like how it gets you to focus on how to break the shield as fast as possible. I like too that they are adding more ice resistance because I am tired of Bringer and it forces people to play some of the other attack characters that still have a lot of potential even if they aren't as broken as Miyabi. I do also like the new Hollow Zero missions. I like that we get a little glimpse of Morpheus, which she seems really cute. She reminds me kind of like a Huo character. But the task force missions have been so hard, like I haven't even beat it on the full difficulty yet, so I've been really actually enjoying that challenge. Now, one speculation I had before 2.0 was the open world stuff, and I'm actually going to walk some of that back. I was a little fearful for it because I don't really care for big open worlds, but I do like how they did it as like levels of smaller hollows. They have a decent amount of stuff to do. Like I spent maybe around an hour exploring, and I'm like almost all the way complete with all the hollows, so it's not much, but it is something to do in between content, which if you are a person who does like big open worlds, then you might be a little bit disappointed with what they added. But then again, it is Zenless Zone Zero. It was never supposed to have this big open world, but I do like that they added these levels of smaller hollows to give you something to do in between content. I do think the new map UI was a little confusing at first, and the location UI is not as clean as the old one, but I understand that there is going to be so many new areas being added, so it sets it up to be as convenient as possible with the amount of new content that will be added in the future. Now, I think my biggest critique of 2.0 is the story. The one thing I have been seeing a lot of people upset with is a lot of tutorials, and I understand they're adding a lot of new things in a new area and wanting to get the player familiar with that, but they could have done it in a way more interesting way than just us reading a bunch of text. Even us just learning our new abilities felt way too weird. Yijuan just told us to do something and then we had them. Adding a little cutscene or comic maybe I think could have added a little bit more context that felt more satisfying. You know, showing us rather than just telling us basically. Which is why I think it made the story felt really slow at the beginning, and then it started picking up at the end once you got over all those tutorials. And the Swabian Temple restoration could have definitely be separated from the main story. I remember I was like doing it for a little bit and I'm like, wait, this is an event. So I definitely felt like they could have had it separate so it doesn't feel like you're like cutting in the middle of the story. Now, another thing that also annoyed me was the amount of black screen white text that 2.0 had. There's one scene at the end that I felt was like building up to something, and then all the momentum just felt like it died down when I saw that screen pop up. And I just thought to myself, why would they do that for such a scene that felt important? And I do wish they focused more on Yijuan like they did in 1.6 and 1.7 with Vivian and Hugo. But it does seem like we are going to be seeing more of Yunque's summit in the future, so hopefully she is more fleshed out as a character. I did like the ending though, where we get a little bit of her talking to what I presume is the spirit of her sister about how she did not sacrifice herself to be a hero, but rather sacrificed herself just to save Yijuan because she is what she cares about most in the world. You also see a little bit of guilt by being the only survivor, and I wish they honed in more of that pressure she has being the last one who survived and also the Grand Master of the new Swabian Temple. I would be surprised though if they did not give her the same treatment as Miyabi and make her more important to the story later on. One thing I've noticed they have been doing that annoyed me about Genshin's dialogue is that it gives two options to choose from, and then we just say both of the lines together. It is so annoying. Why even have the option in the first place if there's gonna be no unique dialogue depending on what you choose? I swear, they did not do this in the beginning of the game, and I am so disappointed in seeing it now. I'm not sure if it is just time constraints that they are under, or they just want to focus on other aspects of the game that has caused a drop in the quality. If it is, then I am totally fine with less events or longer patches, but I doubt Hoyo will do that. Hopefully now that all the tutorial stuff is over, we do dive deeper into the story. Now, even though I didn't care about the tone or the pacing for the story, I think it did really well at setting up a few plot points that could have a really good payoff. I think miasma is really interesting because it makes people hallucinate and can warp their memories. In the Exalted's hands, this could be very dangerous, so I'm interested in what they are planning to do with that. Because miasma can do that, it makes the audience question whether if what they are seeing is real or not. Stuff like, is the photo of Belle and Y's teacher real, or is it just a ploy to lure Phaethon into a trap? Is Yijuan really speaking to the spirit of her sister, or is she also being manipulated by the Exaltes? Because now that they have Yi Zhang's body, what are they planning to do with it, and what can they even do with it? Maybe Wi-Fi Peninsula is an illusion this whole time. So, because of the pretty good setup, I will be disappointed if the rest of the season has the same tone as 2.0 did. I'm actually really excited for the Spook Shack faction. I really like goofy factions. I think that the one thing I really love about this game is the characters. I can't say it enough. I love very goofy and cartoonish characters, and I think they are able to have that with them also having more serious backstories that give these characters a little bit more depth in their personalities. That balance I think ZZZ is really good at, and I hope they continue this into the rest of Season 2. I think the game has a lot going for it, and even with the main story not being too great, I really enjoyed everything else it had to offer. But there might be some people who only play the game to play the story, and if you are that person, then I totally think it is fair to be disappointed in 2.0. But for me, I'm still gonna keep playing everything until I get extremely bored with the game. I would like to hear your guys' opinions on what you liked or what you didn't like. I just ask that we all be respectful to other people's opinions. Just because you enjoyed something that someone else might not have liked doesn't mean you have to be disrespectful towards them, and vice versa. No reason to try to be mean to someone who liked something you didn't. It is the internet though, so there's always going to be people who just want to argue. So I'm hoping we can have a civil discussion. But yeah, at the end of the day, games are supposed to be fun. So let's just all have fun and hold hands and ring around the rosy. But yeah, let me know your guys' opinion. Thank you for watching if you stayed around. Please comment, like, and subscribe. It all helps me out. I've been trying to do these like smaller analysis videos in between some of the bigger projects I have going on. So if you do like them, then let me know. If there's maybe another topic that you want me to talk about, let me know too. Thank you very much for watching, and yeah, that's all I have for you. Goodbye.